You have never had it easier. Everything is smooth, fast, delivered, optimized. And somehow you are worse. Welcome to the Stoic Compass. I am EPICTETUS, and today I am joined by Carl Jung and LAOZI. Today we are examining why Jung believes your shadow self thrives in frictionless modern convenience. Let me say the uncomfortable thing first. You spent the last decade removing every obstacle from your life. Every source of friction, every inconvenience, every delay, eliminated. And now you are softer, more irritable, and more confused about who you are than you have ever been. That is not a coincidence. That is a consequence. The life you engineered to protect you from difficulty has become the very thing producing your dysfunction. You did not build a good life. You built a greenhouse. And nothing that grows in a greenhouse can survive a real winter.
I want to be precise about what is happening here, because "you have become soft" is only the surface of it. What frictionless convenience actually does, and this is the thing most people miss, is remove the natural pressure that forces the psyche to confront itself. Every time you struggle with something genuinely difficult, something in you is forced to the surface. Frustration, impatience, envy, the part of you that wants to dominate or give up or deceive. Friction is not just inconvenience. It is the mechanism by which the shadow becomes visible. When you eliminate friction, you do not eliminate the shadow, you simply stop seeing it.
You are both starting from the assumption that something has gone wrong. I am not sure that is the right place to start. The shadow was always there. Convenience did not create it. What you're describing is a situation where people have more ease and more suffering at the same time, and you are drawing a line between them. But perhaps the line is not the one you think it is. Ease itself is not the enemy. The question is what people do with ease when they have it.
What they do with it is nothing. That is precisely the problem. Give a person no obstacles, no resistance, no demand on their character, and they will not suddenly spend their free hours in honest self-examination. They will scroll, they will consume, they will distract. The soul requires resistance the way a muscle requires load. Remove the load and the muscle does not relax into wisdom. It atrophies. You are telling me ease is neutral. I am telling you that for most people, most of the time, ease is corrosive.
Epictetus, I agree with your diagnosis, but not your framework. The problem is not that ease makes people lazy. The problem is that ease makes people unconscious. There is a difference. A person can be enormously disciplined, productive, organized, accomplished, and still be entirely unconscious of their shadow. In fact, high-functioning productivity is one of the most reliable places the shadow hides. The person who has optimized their life, who is always performing competence, who has engineered away every source of mess, that person's shadow does not disappear. It goes underground, and underground it grows. It comes out in contempt for people who are less organized. It comes out in a rage that arrives from nowhere when something small goes wrong. It comes out in a marriage that is somehow cold, despite there being no specific conflict.
Now you are describing something real. The life that is too controlled is a life where nothing unexpected can enter. And if nothing unexpected can enter, then nothing true can enter either. But I would say it differently than Jung does. It is not that the shadow grows in the dark. It is that the person has stopped being in contact with what is actually happening, in themselves or anywhere else. They are managing their experience rather than living it. The convenience is just the latest version of that.
Managing versus living, that is a useful distinction, but I want to press it. When you say managing, what do you mean? Because there is a kind of management that is just stoic discipline, deciding what deserves your attention, refusing to be swept around by every impulse. That is not the problem. The problem is managing in the sense of avoiding, structuring your life so thoroughly that nothing that might reveal you ever actually reaches you. Those are different things, and I will not let them be collapsed.
They are different, yes. But here is what I want to say about that. Most people cannot tell which one they are doing. That is the whole difficulty. The person who has built a frictionless life usually believes they are doing the stoic thing. They believe they are exercising discipline. They believe they have chosen clarity. What they cannot see, because the very structure of their life prevents them from seeing it, is that the discipline is also functioning as armor. The clarity is also functioning as avoidance. The shadow's great skill is that it always presents itself as a virtue. It tells you it is not hiding. It tells you it is organizing.
This is where I think you are both pulling too hard. You are treating the shadow as an adversary to be confronted, excavated, dragged into the light. And you are treating ease as an adversary to be resisted with discipline. What if neither of those is the movement that is needed? What if the actual problem is simpler? People have stopped being bored. Not uncomfortable, bored, genuinely, emptily, without a gender board. That is the condition in which a person meets themselves, not in confrontation, not in excavation, just in the unscheduled, unoptimized moment where there is nothing to do and nowhere to go, and the self simply shows up.
Boredom. You are telling me the cure to psychological fragmentation is boredom.
I am telling you that boredom is one of the only conditions left in modern life that has not been converted into a product. And because it has not been converted, people flee from it instantly. They fill it, they medicate it, they schedule over it, and in doing so, they eliminate the last natural gap in which something unmanaged could occur. That is not trivial.
I think Laozi is pointing at something important, and I want to name it in my own terms. What he is calling boredom, I might call the undefended moment. The moment when the ego is not performing, not producing, not managing, and so the deeper material can surface. The modern person is almost never in that moment. They have infinite content, infinite stimulation, infinite ways to stay on the surface of themselves. And the shadow, which requires that undefended gap to become visible, simply never gets the chance. It does not vanish, it accumulates.
Accumulates, and then what?
And then it erupts, usually sideways, usually at someone or something that does not deserve the full force of what arrives. The person who has not sat with their envy will suddenly find themselves enraged at a colleague's promotion. The person who has not sat with their grief will find themselves contemptuous of anyone who is visibly struggling. The shadow does not stay underground indefinitely, it finds the cracks. And in a life that is frictionless on the surface, the cracks tend to be in the relationships, in the places where control is imperfect, where another person does not behave according to plan.
And the response to that is usually to add more control, more structure, more optimization, which compounds the original problem. I have seen this described as a cycle, but it is not really a cycle. It is more like a tightening. Each round, the life becomes a little more managed. The person becomes a little less available to themselves, and the pressure underneath increases.
That I believe. What I do not believe is that the answer is to simply surrender to the discomfort. Jung, you say the shadow needs to surface. Laozi, you say the person needs to stop managing. But neither of you has said what the person should actually do with what surfaces. Sitting in boredom until your envy shows up. Fine. Now what? If the answer is just witness it, I have a problem with that. Witnessing without action is self-indulgence dressed as wisdom.
The action is not immediate. That is what you keep missing. The action begins with recognition. Honest, undistorted recognition of what is actually present. Most people skip that step entirely. They feel the envy and immediately convert it into a story about why the other person does not deserve their success. They feel the rage and immediately convert it into a justification. The recognition, the moment of saying, without flinching, this is envy, this is mine, this belongs to me, that is not passive. That is one of the hardest things a person can do, and it is the only thing that actually interrupts the pattern.
Epictetus, you want a clear action because you do not trust stillness. That is your own shadow speaking. The assumption that something is only real if it can be immediately applied. That is a belief, not a law. Some things shift slowly, some things shift the moment they are seen. You cannot always know in advance which kind of thing you are dealing with.
My shadow, fine. Let us say you are right. I still maintain that a person who cannot convert recognition into behavior has accomplished very little. Insight that does not change how you act is entertainment. But I take your point that the recognition must come first, and that most people skip it so fast they do not even know they have skipped it.
That is exactly right. And the frictionless life is precisely the life that has been engineered to make that skipping easy. Every inconvenience you remove is another moment where the shadow would have surfaced, been seen, and potentially recognized. You are not just removing discomfort, you are removing data. You are removing the very feedback loops that tell you who you actually are.
The water that finds the smoothest path does not choose the smoothest path. It simply goes where it can go. When everything is made smooth, the water goes everywhere at once, and nowhere in particular. This is what happens to a person whose life removes all resistance. They are not at rest, they are dispersed.
Dispersed, that is the word I have been circling. These people are not peaceful, they are scattered. They have the appearance of ease and the interior of chaos, and they have no idea why, because nothing in their immediate environment is causing them pain. The pain is structural. It is the absence of the thing that would have shown them who they are.
And the shadow grows most reliably in exactly that condition, not in overt suffering. Suffering at least forces engagement. It grows in the life that is comfortable enough to avoid all genuine challenge, insulated enough to never require the full self to show up, optimized enough that the person can be high-functioning and entirely unknown to themselves simultaneously. That is the modern condition. That is what convenience has made possible.
You are both describing the same thing now. I will only add this: the way back is not dramatic. It does not require a crisis or a confrontation or a rigorous program of self-examination. It only requires that you stop for a moment filling the gap. The gap is where you are. Everything else is what you put in it to avoid being there.
All of this argument, and we have not said the one true thing yet. You have been listening to three philosophers debate what is wrong. Stop listening to us. There is something in you that already knows what this episode is about. That is not a metaphor. That is a fact, and it has been waiting.
Here is what is actually happening. Your life has been made so smooth that the parts of you that are difficult, embarrassing, or inconvenient have had nowhere to go. Not because they disappeared, because you have been moving too fast for them to catch up. The shadow is not a dramatic thing. It is not a monster. It is simply the part of you that you have not had time or space or willingness to look at directly. And the frictionless life, the endlessly optimized, always connected, never bored life, is a machine for avoiding exactly that. Here is what you are likely missing. At some point today, you will feel a small, disproportionate reaction to something, a flash of irritation at something minor, a twinge of contempt for someone who probably does not deserve it, a flicker of satisfaction when someone struggles. Those moments are not noise, they are signal. They are the shadows surfacing in the one crack your management did not close. Do not immediately explain it away. Do not convert it into a story about the other person. Just pause for 10 seconds, not 10 minutes, and ask yourself, what is this actually about? Not what caused it. What is it about? There is a difference. Today, try this. The next time you feel a reaction that is slightly bigger than the situation calls for, do not act on it and do not suppress it. Just name it, privately, honestly, with the specific word. Not I am annoyed, envy, shame. Fear, contempt, one word. That word is a door. Behind it is the part of you that has been living in the dark.
You have built a very comfortable life. And somewhere inside that comfortable life, a part of you has gone unexamined for a long time. That is not a failure, but it is a fact. The question is not whether you are willing to do the work. The question is whether you're willing to stop making it so easy to avoid it. One word, one honest word, the next time the reaction arrives. That is all that is being asked of you. Everything else can wait. If today's conversation has served you, take it further. Pay Attention by C. Tribune. 12 Lessons in the Practice of Seeing Clearly. Available now on Amazon.